I grew up in the quiet, green hills of Kitale, Kenya, where my childhood felt like something out of a storybook. My cousin Zanele and I were raised almost like sisters. We lived just a short walk from each other, played under the same jacaranda trees, and shared secrets in the dark under the blankets. People in the village would often say, "Those two? You can't separate them." And it was true. At least, that's what I believed. From the outside, we looked close. But even as little girls, something deeper stirred beneath our friendship, something I didn't fully understand until much later. Zanele had a competitive streak that showed in small but sharp ways. If I wore a dress my mother had sewn with love, Zanele would beg her mother for the same one, only brighter, flashier. If I got the top score in school, she'd smile at me sweetly, but study twice as hard just to beat me next time. She always wanted what I had, even if she never said it out loud. Still, I didn't mind. I was quiet, kind, and never one to chase the spotlight. I believed love was infinite, that there was enough for both of us. I shared my toys, my books, my dreams. I thought she was just like me. But jealousy is a slow-moving shadow. It doesn't arrive all at once. It slips into moments, into glances, into small words that don't feel like much at first. Looking back, I realized Zanele's envy had been with us all along, hiding behind her laughter, clinging to my footsteps, waiting. I met Jabari on a rainy afternoon in Nairobi, at a mutual friend's book launch. I almost didn't go that day, but something pulled me there. Fate, maybe. He stood in the corner, quietly flipping through a poetry book, his tall frame calm and grounded. He didn't try to impress anyone, didn't speak unless spoken to, and yet, something about him felt powerful, like a still river, hiding great depth. We started talking over coffee, and the conversation flowed like we'd known each other forever. Jabari was from Mbarara, Uganda, a teacher who loved literature and believed in simple joys. He wasn't loud or flashy, but his words carried weight. When he listened, he looked straight into your soul, and for the first time in a long time, I felt seen. Not just looked at, seen. Our relationship grew slowly, beautifully. Long walks, quiet dinners, endless conversations about dreams and fears. I felt safe with him, like I could finally exhale. My heart, once cautious, started to open like a flower in sunlight. I told Zanele about him, of course. She was the first person I called. At first, she seemed happy for me, clapping, laughing, saying, "Finally, Amali." She even teased me about how smitten I sounded. I believed her excitement was real. But as weeks passed, I started noticing little things. She asked too many questions. Not the kind you ask as a cousin, but as someone curious in another way. Is he tall, or just tall? Does he smell good? I bet he smells good. I brushed it off as harmless. After all, she was my cousin, my sister friend. She even insisted on meeting him. I introduced them, thinking nothing of it. I couldn't see it then, how her eyes lingered a little too long, how her smile stretched a bit too wide. I thought I had found a love that could never be shaken. What I didn't know was that someone close to me had already decided she wanted that love too, and she would stop at nothing to take it. At first, it was just little things Zanele would say, the kind of comments you laugh off, even if they sting a bit. One afternoon, while we were baking together, she casually asked, "Are you sure he's the one? You always fall for the quiet types." I chuckled nervously, brushing flour off my hands, trying not to take it personally. But the question stayed with me, like a tiny thorn I couldn't quite pull out. Later, she joked, "I think Jabari smiles at me more than he does at you." She laughed when she said it, like it was funny, like it didn't mean anything. But something about her tone felt off. Still, I pushed the feeling aside. This was Zanele, my cousin, my friend, the girl I trusted with all my secrets. I couldn't imagine she'd do anything to hurt me. But the signs kept coming. She started texting him directly, asking him about the wedding playlist, sending him photos of outfits for his opinion. I told myself she was just being helpful. I wanted to believe the best. I needed to believe the best. What I didn't know then was that while she was smiling to my face, she was whispering behind my back. She told Jabari I was insecure, that I doubted him, that I had once said I wasn't sure we were ready for marriage. Lies. Twisted little pieces of truth that she stretched until they broke. She said I had a temper, that I was jealous of other women, that I didn't support his dreams. I noticed Jabari changing, slowly. He became distant, quieter, more unsure. He'd look at me like he was searching for something she had told him I lacked. I didn't know why, but our connection started to feel strained. And instead of questioning her, I questioned myself. Maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe I am too much. Looking back, the signs were so loud. But love makes you blind. And when that betrayal is coming from someone you've loved your whole life, you don't want to see it. You hold on tighter until it breaks you. When Jabari and I officially got engaged, I was over the moon. It felt like the beginning of forever. I started planning the wedding with so much excitement, choosing flowers, venues, colors. And before I could even ask for help, Zanele jumped in with both feet. "Let me help you," she said with that familiar sugary smile. "I know what you like. You'll need someone who understands your taste." At first it felt sweet. She was everywhere, suggesting vendors, calling decorators, even helping me shortlist dress designs. She said she wanted everything to be perfect for me, but somewhere along the way, it stopped feeling like help and started feeling like control. She began making decisions without asking me. She booked appointments with stylists and told me after. "You'll thank me," she'd say. "This one's so much better than what you picked." Then she asked to accompany Jabari to his suit fittings. "You'll be too busy," she told me. "Let me take care of it. I'll make sure he looks perfect for you." I laughed awkwardly. It felt strange. Why her and not me? But I didn't say anything. I didn't want to sound jealous or ungrateful. I told myself she was just trying to help. After all, we were family. We grew up like sisters. Why would she do anything to hurt me? Still, something inside me whispered, "This isn't right." She'd comment on how good Jabari looked in certain colors, how well they worked together during errands. She even joked, "If you ever change your mind, maybe I'll marry him instead." It was always followed by a laugh, but the words dug into me. I brushed away my discomfort, told myself not to be paranoid. I was getting married to the man I loved. That should have been my focus. But Zanele was slowly pushing herself into places she didn't belong, and I let her. I thought loyalty meant silence. I thought trust meant ignoring bad feelings. I didn't realize that some people wear the face of love just to get close enough to destroy it. The sun was shining bright that day in Entebbe, the sky clear and wide like a blessing. The garden was decorated with soft white flowers and golden ribbons, and music floated gently in the air. Everything felt like a dream, the kind you don't want to wake up from. My heart was pounding, full of joy and nerves, as I walked down the aisle toward Jabari. I saw his eyes waiting for me. For a moment, it felt like nothing in the world could go wrong. We stood facing each other, ready to exchange vows. The officiant began to speak. Guests leaned forward, phones lifted, smiles all around. And then, a voice broke through the silence. "I can't let this happen." Gasps, whispers, heads turned, and there she was, Zanele, walking straight down the aisle in a tight, shimmering dress that looked more suited for a nightclub than a wedding. Her makeup was perfect, but her face was streaked with fake tears. She was crying, loud and messy, like a scene from a movie. "Jabari was mine first," she shouted, voice shaking. My legs locked. My hands went cold. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't believe what I was hearing. The entire crowd froze, watching us like it was a live drama. Some people stood up. Others covered their mouths in shock. Jabari's face went pale. I turned to him, searching his eyes for a lie, a laugh, anything that told me this was just a cruel joke. But there was no denial, no defense, just guilt. I felt the ground slip from under me. My chest tightened. My ears rang. I was standing in a beautiful dress, in front of all our family and friends, and my whole world was collapsing. One word, one tear, one betrayal at a time. Zanele stood there like she was the bride, not me, bold, shameless, and I was left standing in front of everyone, humiliated, heartbroken, and lost for words. In that one moment, everything I trusted shattered. Everything I built with Jabari crumbled. And the worst part? The person who tore it all apart was the same one I once called my sister. After the shock of Zanele's outburst, everything felt like a blur. Guests whispered, the music stopped, and I just stood there, frozen in my wedding dress, my hands shaking. I turned to Jabari, silently begging him to say something, anything. Tell me it was a lie. Tell me she was making it up. Tell me I was still the one you chose. But Jabari couldn't even look me in the eyes. He stepped forward slowly, his voice low, filled with shame. Amala, I need to tell you the truth. My heart sank. He said Zanele had been calling and texting him often, asking to meet about wedding errands. Innocent things at first. He said she would show up at his office or invite him out, saying it was urgent or that I had asked her to go on my behalf. She created moments where they were alone, moments I never even knew happened. And then he said the words that made my stomach turn. 2 weeks ago, she kissed me, and I kissed her back. Just like that, my world stopped. He claimed it was a mistake, that he regretted it the second it happened. He said he felt confused, that Zanele made him feel like I was pulling away, like I wasn't really in love with him. She told him I had doubts, that I had been talking to someone else. Lies, all lies, and he believed her. I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I just stared at the man I thought would be my husband and felt everything inside me crumble. My chest was heavy, like my heart had turned to stone. There, in front of everyone, I removed my veil. I handed my bouquet to my maid of honor, and I walked away. The wedding was called off that day. Just like that, everything we had planned, everything we had dreamed of, disappeared. But more than losing the wedding, I lost the man I trusted, and the cousin I thought was family. It wasn't just betrayal. It was the deepest kind of heartbreak, the kind that doesn't just break your heart, it shakes your soul. After the wedding was called off, I disappeared. I couldn't face the world, couldn't bear the pity in people's eyes, or the whispers behind my back. I stayed inside my small apartment in Nairobi, curtains drawn, phone off, heart shattered. Day after day, I sat in silence, replaying everything. The look on Jabari's face, Zanele's dramatic lies, the gasps from the guests, the sound of my own heart breaking. I felt like a fool. I had trusted too easily, loved too deeply, and lost everything in the most public, painful way. The shame was unbearable. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Some days I didn't even have the energy to cry. I just lay there, numb, letting the darkness sink in. My body was there, but my spirit, it felt gone. Friends tried to check on me. Some knocked, some called. I ignored them all. How could I explain the kind of pain that doesn't even have words? The kind that makes you feel like you're drowning even when you're breathing. But then one night, in the middle of that silence, something inside me shifted. I don't know what it was exactly. Maybe it was exhaustion, maybe it was grace. But I sat up in bed, tears pouring down my face, and whispered to myself, this will not be the end of my story. I said it again, louder. This will not be the end of my story. And in that moment, something broke. Not me, but the weight I had been carrying. I realized I had already lost so much. But I hadn't lost me. Not completely. I was still here. I was still breathing. And maybe, just maybe, that meant there was still hope. So I got up. I showered. I opened the windows. I let light in. That was the first step. And it was the hardest. But it was also the beginning. The start of my healing. Of finding myself again. Not the broken version of me they left behind, but the stronger woman I was about to become. A few months after the heartbreak, I left Nairobi and moved to Dar es Salaam. I needed a fresh start, somewhere the air didn't remind me of what I had lost. I didn't know anyone there, but maybe that was the point. I wanted to rebuild quietly, away from the noise, the memories, the shame. At first, I just walked by the ocean every morning, letting the waves wash over my thoughts. I journaled, I read, I cried. I healed, slowly. One day at a cafe, I overheard 2 women talking. One of them was sobbing, saying her fiancé had cheated on her with her cousin. I froze. My heart started racing. Her pain sounded exactly like mine. I walked up to her after they finished talking. I'm sorry, I said softly. I know how that feels. That simple moment sparked something. We met again the next week, and then again, and soon we invited another woman, then another. Before I knew it, I had started something. A safe space, a sisterhood. A healing circle. We called it Her Voice Rising. Every Saturday we gathered, women of all backgrounds, ages, and heartbreaks. Some had been cheated on, others had been lied to, manipulated, or left behind. But the pain? It spoke the same language. We cried together, we shared stories, we reminded each other that we were still worthy, still whole, still powerful. I didn't have all the answers, but I had my truth, and I gave it freely, raw and real. I told them about Jabari, about Zanele, about standing in a wedding dress while my world crumbled. I told them how I almost lost myself, but didn't. Soon, people started sharing our meetings online, clips, quotes, pieces of our conversations. And slowly, my story spread. Women from all over started reaching out, saying, "Thank you," saying, "Me too." I never planned to become a voice for others. I was just trying to heal. But somehow, in that process, I found my purpose. What once felt like the most painful chapter of my life became the very thing that helped others find their strength. And through them, I found mine too. 2 years later, I wasn't looking for love. I wasn't dreaming about fairy tales or wedding dresses anymore. I was focused on healing, on helping other women do the same. My heart had found peace in the simple things: morning walks by the sea, laughter during our healing circle, quiet evenings with a good book. I was finally becoming whole on my own. And then, one day, I met Thabiso. It wasn't dramatic or magical. It was just kind. We met at a community education event in Dar es Salaam. He was giving a talk on teaching children through grief. He spoke gently, with wisdom and sadness in his voice. Later, I learned he had lost his wife 3 years earlier. He wasn't broken, but he knew pain, and somehow that made him see me more clearly. He didn't flirt or try too hard. He didn't chase me. He just showed up, week after week, quiet, steady, thoughtful. He asked questions about my women's group and really listened. He respected the walls I had up and never tried to knock them down. He just waited, patiently, until I was ready to let him in. We started taking long walks together, talking about life, about loss, about second chances. There were no games, no pretending, just two people who had been through fire, slowly learning how to love again, gently, carefully, honestly. For the first time, I felt safe. With Thabiso, I didn't feel like I had to earn love or compete for it. He saw me, not just my beauty, not my story online, but me, my strength, my scars, my softness, and he loved it all. It wasn't the kind of love that swept me off my feet. It was the kind that held my hand and stood beside me through everything. It grew slowly, like a flower blooming after a storm. And this time I knew this love was real. No games, no betrayal, just peace, just respect, just home. My second wedding wasn't big or fancy, and that's exactly how I wanted it. Just close friends, a few family members, and the man who had shown me what real love feels like. We chose a quiet garden by the ocean in Dar es Salaam. The breeze was gentle, the sun warm, and everything about that day felt peaceful. No drama, no noise, just love. I wore a simple cream dress with lace sleeves. Nothing too flashy. My bouquet was made of wild flowers, handpicked by women from my healing circle. Every detail had meaning. Every person there had walked with me through pain and watched me rise again. As I stood near the aisle, arm in arm with my aunt, who had become like a mother to me, one of the security guards whispered something to her. She nodded, then turned to me calmly and said, "Zanele tried to come." For a moment, I didn't say anything. I just took a breath. "Did they let her in?" I asked. She smiled gently. "Number, we handled it." And that was that. No anger, no shouting, no need for revenge, just peace. As the music started and I began to walk down the aisle toward Thabiso, I felt something powerful rise inside me. Not just joy, not just love, but pride. I had been broken, humiliated, betrayed in front of the world, and yet here I was, whole, glowing, loved the right way. I walked with my head high, with grace, with strength. That day, I didn't just get married, I reclaimed my story, my voice, my worth, and this time, no one could take it from me.